So we're looking at figure 7.2 and your textbook on page 145. This graph has everything to do with the relationship between house prices. So I'm going to write house prices over here. And the amount of pollution. In the textbook uses the example of sulfur dioxide. This is really true for any type of pollution. You could probably also say the same for water pollution or air pollution or whatever. But all right, let's keep it similar to the textbook. Let's keep it SO2. For those of you that don't know, SO2 is just the chemical formulation or format of a type of pollution. So you can just call this pollution as well. I'm going to write in brackets pollution. Type of pollution. All right. So this graph, it's not necessary to draw it every time you explain the difference between house prices and pollution. It's just there to show you how it looks graphically, and I'm just making this clip to explain it a bit further. But you don't have to draw it to me. Usually these type of questions are in essay type of questions, and then you don't have to draw a graph, obviously, except I ask for the graph explicitly. So let's start. If pollution is really high, so here's zero pollution and here is a high level of pollution, so I'm just going to write high level of pollution, then we will find that house prices is not that high. It's actually quite low. Why? Because people don't like to stay price low. People don't like to stay in a place that's polluted and dirty and unhealthy. So they would, if they can, avoid staying there. On the other hand, if SO2 or pollution is quite low, then the area is in a good shape. The air is clean, the water is clean, whatever the pollution might be. And then people are prepared to pay a very high price. So that's high, P high, a high price for the house. Okay, I just moved the price there, now I can see it a bit better. So do you understand these 2 points? On the one side, people say, okay, listen, I can't afford a very high house price. I can only afford a low house price. So I have to settle to live in an area that's polluted. Now, obviously, there's a range of ethical questions that comes here, because poor people also have the right to live in a healthy and clean environment. So here we have to ask a couple of ethical questions. Is this right? Is this correct? And you'll learn about these ethical issues in later learning units, so keep that in mind. Okay, now we're just going to connect the dots over here. Let's get the blue, so meaning the graph looks something like, like this. It's a bit skew, but you get the idea. Meaning, let's say I buy a house over here. Price of my house is P1, paid the price of P1 for the house, and in this environment there's pollution of a level, let's call it med for medium. Now I get a raise at work and I can afford it to move to a cleaner area. Now the moment I lower the amount of pollution in the area is also the moment the price of my house is going to increase. And that's just basically, that sums it up. It means lower pollution equals higher house price, and vice versa. Lower pollution equals lower house prices. You don't have to draw this graph every time you talk about house prices. I just want you to explain it, but you have to draw it when I explicitly ask for you to draw a graph showing the relationship between house prices and pollution.